Check, check, 1, 2, check, check. Can you hear me? Check, check. Hold on a second. Let me say something. Like maybe my microphone was actually off. All right, so we're going to have to start all over again. So, สำหรับคนไทยอยู่สวัสดีครับอรุณสวัสดิ์ผมอยู่จังหวัดพะเยาแล้วก็วันนี้ออกกำลังนิดหน่อยขอรอมวย UFC 319 that's later today. Anyway, so if you can hear what I have to say, if you can hear me speaking, please just type a 1, say it for yes, and a 2 for no. And I really appreciate that very much if you could do that. I mean, I'm looking at my microphone and it doesn't seem to be off right now. It might have been off before and back on now. So I would super appreciate if, fantastic. It was off. Felipe Gamborg Hernandez, good morning. How are you, my brother? Shams 369, thank you for the 1, appreciate that. Yeah, so I went over the intro about Chimaev versus DDP, and I was telling my story. I'll tell you, it's such a good story, I don't mind telling it 1,000 times. So here's basically the story of this, is that I want to hear what you guys have to say or think about this matchup that's happening at 10 o'clock in the morning, my time. I think it's like 11 o'clock Eastern Coast time, I think. I'm right now in northern Thailand, right? So I'll be able to watch it like 10 o'clock in the morning. Right now it's 6 in the morning, Saturday, the 17th of August. And anyway, so like what I would say was this, right? I am taking DDP. And the reason I'm taking DDP is that not because they say that DDP is so much bigger and stronger than all of the opponents of Chimaev, which isn't really true, because a lot of those fights that Chimaev fought was at 185, and that's what they're fighting at today, right? 185. So middleweight, right? So, but the thing is that they both have like similar opponents in their roster. DDP is the champion. He's two-time defender. He pretty much outclassed Strickland, right? And Strickland is like, Strickland went into that fight as a big favorite over DDP, right? But he got totally outclassed. Now, of course, we'll have to talk about Chimaev's, shoot and wrestle and stuff like that. His grappling skills is obviously are out of this planet. But the thing is that if you're going to offer me 2.5 to 1, that's the line that's out there, the price that's out there, that means if I put up 1 unit, I get back 3.5 units if I win. That's, to me, positive equity, right? Because I don't think that DDP is a 2.5 to 1 underdog against Chimaev. How can he be? Doesn't make any sense. Mathematically, in my opinion. So, like, that reminds me of a story that I was talking about a long time ago. Now, if you guys are boxer fans, if you're a fan of boxing, if you remember Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. Well, when that fight happened, right, Mike Tyson went into that fight as a 40 to 1 favorite. And at that time, I used to know some pretty sharp people with money and stuff like that. And this one man, obviously, he said, listen, I know Mike Tyson's the best. I know he's this. I know he's everything like that. But 40 to 1, I mean, he could slip on a banana peel or something like that. Who the fuck knows? And that's exactly what happened. And he ended up winning a whole bunch of money, All right, good night to you, brother. So he ended up winning a whole bunch of money, right? But then there was another guy down on the Wall Street community at that time who was himself a former Golden Gloves boxing heavyweight champion, right? Who was on the Mike Tyson train. He said, Mike Tyson's going to win. And then people would say, oh, you're going to give that price 40 to 1? He said, oh, yeah, I'll lay 40 to 1. I'll lay 40 to 1 all day long. This guy had a job working, a very prestigious job working on the floor of the COMEX, the Commodities Exchange in the old World Trade Center before 9/11, right? And he booked bets with like anybody, probably like half the people who worked on the floor of the exchange. Well, the next day, he didn't show up for work because when you lay 40 to 1 and you lose and you take all bets, there's nobody who has that amount of money in the world to pay it. So this guy, yo, hey, good morning, Jeans 304. Good to see you. Didn't see you yesterday, but see you today. God bless, and it's a wonderful day to be alive. You know, and we were just talking about UFC 319 and DDP versus Chimaev. So that guy who laid 40 to 1, rest in peace, he was a really wonderful guy too. Yeah, he took so many bets giving 40 to 1 that he actually had to, you know, give up the job of a lifetime, you know. People would murder to get his job, and he had that job, but he had to give it up because he made a bad decision, you know. Amen to that. Amen to that, Jeans. So now that's like a really extreme example where Mike Tyson was favored by 40 to 1, right? I mean, I don't know. Has anybody seen any professional combat sports where somebody's been a 40 to 1 favorite since then? Probably not. I mean, if you get like somebody like 10 to 1, I mean, like that's like in tennis. 10 to 1 is like when like the number 1 ranked opponent is playing against the number 5 ranked opponent and is up like one set. You know what I mean? That's a 10 to 1. That's a 10 to 1 story right there. He's already up 1 set. There's no way that Chimaev is up 1 set. And we're talking about 1 and 2, right? These are the 1 and 2. So I'm saying that and you know, I looked at the price and I got the price at 3.5, right? So you put up 1 unit, you get back 3.5 units. And I just don't think that Chimaev is that much of a favorite to beat the sitting reigning champion who's been active at the height of his career, you know, and I just don't see it. Now, I think Chimaev is a favorite, and I think Chimaev will probably win the fight. That's what I honestly think. But I'm going to take the odds because I believe in odds. Now, it's not 40 to 1 or anything like that, but I think the math is wrong at 2.5 to 1. So when you see odds that you think, you know, that are wrong, you got to jump on it. You know, that's just like trading stocks and options and everything like that. This dog, he's cool. Yeah, so, and this one, he's cool too, but all right, take a small sniff. All right. You know what I mean? So that was like the biggest most extreme example. I remember that too, man. The 40 to 1. Buster Douglas was a 40 to 1 underdog against Mike Tyson. and there are 2 people. I knew 2 people who worked down in the Wall Street area, both traders. You know, one was a trader in a private equity firm. The other one worked on the COMEX. And one was able to show up the next day with a big smile on his face, and the other guy lost his job because he laid 40 to 1. I mean, I guess like in the grand scheme of things, if you lay 40 to 1 and bet money on it, you're just not going to pay when you lose. And that's what that guy did. He didn't pay, but he lost his job, which is pretty significant. You know, so you'll never work in this town again, type of deal. I mean, the guy's a great guy, though. You know, he's just a sick, compulsive gambler. You know, and he thought Mike Tyson couldn't lose, And there's a lot of people out there right now who think Chimaev can't lose. Well, I got news for you. He can lose. I don't know if he's going to win or lose tonight. All I know is that if I put up $100 today, this morning, to win $32, and DDP won the fight, I know how I would feel. I feel like I feel like a sucker, like I got robbed, right? Now, if I bet 100 on DDP to win 350 and I lose that bet, well, I'll say, okay, I thought Chimaev was, I won't feel so bad. I won't feel bad, really won't feel bad at all. But, if DDP wins and I get 350 for one, I won't feel fantastic. I'm gonna feel so fantastic. I'm gonna give one viewer in this chat who can hear me now and he knows who he is, a $100 bill if DDP wins. So I'd love to gift you all $100, but I can't. I'm not that rich. But if you smash the like button and subscribe and I get there, hey man, that could happen. but right now that's not happening. So does anybody in the chat think that DDP can win? That's what I want to know. Jeans, do you think that DDP can win? Does anybody think DDP can win? They got pretty quiet. Got crickets out there. All right. Well, that's awesome because I lost some members of the chat. But if anybody in the chat still, if anybody thinks that DDP can win, I'd like to hear if you think that he can, or what if you think Chimaev is going to win. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are about that. There's a lot of training camps here in Thailand too for UFC fighters. And as a matter of fact, Michael Bisping, if you're watching Mike Bisping, he's in Thailand right now. So big ups to Mr. Bisping. And big ups to everybody. Anyway, we're getting this walk on, and it's absolutely fantastic. And the sky is beautiful, and God is good. And that's what God is. That's a battle between good and evil. And you can choose which side you want to be on. Some people can't choose, I guess. But I choose to be on the side of good. Or at least what I believe is good. Until otherwise proven incorrect, that rape and killing and pillaging and lying and stealing, and if you could prove to me that's right, oh my God, I can't even finish that statement. My goodness. Oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. I'm sorry I even said that. Anyway, this walk is coming along quite well. Thank you so much for joining me on this walk. Makes it go by a little bit faster, which it doesn't mean that I want it to be over. But it is, I do it for fun because I enjoy it, but also I have to complete it. And I like to be able to complete my tasks on time or before scheduled. So that's just the nature, the nature of my mind. But definitely like to hear what anybody has to say about DDP Chimaev tonight, or today. Well, today for me, tonight for North America and Europe. I appreciate you. I love your consistency too. I super appreciate it. You know, it gives me the, the motivation and spiritual uplift that I need, or that helps me get through these things. Just walking alone, and so it would be all right. I have plenty of things to think about, but it certainly is more interesting to me to be able to reach out, connect, and you guys to reach out and connect with me. So I super appreciate every single one of you. And you may you have the most blessed days and be blessed with fantastic health and happiness. Anyway, we're almost at the halfway mark, and we're going to appreciate you, brother. Appreciate. God bless. Amen to that. Same to you. All right. So we're almost at the halfway mark, and it's funny. If you do exercise, has anybody had the same feeling about once you get to the halfway mark that the second half actually goes faster than the first half? That's how I always feel about exercise. It's like, where I'm traveling. Once I get to the halfway mark feels like it takes longer than the second half. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Or not, I don't know. Probably not, I don't think I'm that unique, so I'm probably most people feel this, or a lot of people, I should say, feel the same way. So I guess I can answer that for myself. But I like to hear from you guys, so, that's the thing, Oh, man, I did something yesterday I am ashamed to admit, too. I've been on this diet, right? So I was at 117 kilo. I'm 6'3", right? So, I'm not like, I'm fat, at 117 kilo. I'm definitely obese, right? But like my prime optimal goal weight is like really a 190. That's what I'd like to be, is one, and that's pounds, in pounds, 190 pounds. I would love to be 190 pounds. Right now I'm 200, like close to 250, 240 or something like that. So, but, so anyway, so I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I've been doing this exercise and stuff like that. And you know what I did yesterday? I went out and I went out with somebody, my friend, and I had an ice cream and I had 2 Kentucky Fried Chicken Zinger burgers. Oh, these guys mean business. Oh boy. This dog, I'm gonna have to be strict with this dog because he's got his back up and he was running like he was ready. He's looking around to see if, you can see him looking around to see if like anybody's watching, dog, I haven't been bit in 25 years that I've been in Thailand, right? But I am definitely aware of the possibility of being bit. So you got to know how to carry yourself around, dogs, that's like people too, I know this guy here in Thailand, right? He's been attacked 2 or 3 times by dogs or something like that. And the reason why is, number one, is he happens to be an older guy. Arun Sawapi. And he's an older guy. But it's not that he's an older guy, because like you got millions of older people who don't get attacked by dogs, right? The reason he got attacked is because he starts that running shit. Like he starts to panic you start to panic a little bit and like, try to get out of there. You know what I mean? And if you haven't already been bit by the dog or attacked by the dog, the last thing you want to do is start to run. Because if you start to run, that's a green light in any animal's brain, even a human. If you start to run, shit, some people are going to be running after you. Bears, you start to run from a bear's going to take that. Mealtime. I'm hungry. He looks good. And the same goes for dogs. If you start panicking a little bit, and then you want to run or whatever, something like that, dog's going to take that as a green light. Say, oh, I could bite this one. He's running from me. He's scared. And that's exactly the signal that's being sent. So, not to talk down or bad about my friend or anything like that, is that he just doesn't know how to handle dogs. And I've been here 25 years. I'm walking out in the morning. I've never been bit. Knock on wood. I've never been bit. And I hope I never do get bit. But I do know that if I'm not going to start running from a dog, and I'm not going to start running from people, or actually, run from people might be a good idea, But dogs, no. I mean, first of all, you can't even outrun a dog. How are you going to outrun a dog? You've got 2 legs, he's got 4. That's basic addition. Addition, subtraction. You have 2 legs and he has 4 legs, and you're going to try and outrun it. Not going to work. Right? So what you have to do is you have to make eye contact. Raising your arms out to your side a little bit helps a bit, because their perception of size becomes more apparent to them. And you say something to them too, in a firm voice, And in English, I guess if you were walking down like a country road like this or something like that, and a dog came up, you'd be like, no, like even stronger voice than that. And in Thai, what you would say was, bye. What do you call them? You would say, bye. And they understand what that means, because that's the lingua franca. That's the language that's spoke here. Like these dogs here, these are street dogs here, right here. I don't think it was going to bite me. Doesn't look like it bite me, because they know that, they start biting humans, it's going to be a bad situation for them. Unless you show fear. You show fear anywhere. That's where they get the term predator from. Predators see fear. And I guess all animals are predators of some sort. Bears, lions, policemen. I mean highway patrol people. That's what I'm talking about. The people who write tickets for fun and to mess up your day. Those people, those are predators. Like if you're driving down the highway in the United States, you could just see them. Like it's like I think about. You know what I think about when I'm driving in the United States? I'm driving down the highway and I see 2 state police patrol cars parked up there, and I see all these cars going north, south, east, west, or whatever they're going, right? And I see these 2 police cars, these 2 state police cars, parked, one facing one direction, one facing the other direction. And I start to think about the animal channel. And I start to think about like lions. Like they sit up there on the hill, they're watching the herd of wildebeests, and they pick out the weak one, and then they pounce. That's exactly what I think about them. And they know it too, they know it. Anyway, but God bless the good policemen, that's for sure. The ones that actually save lives and protect people, protect women and children and stuff like that. So, everybody give a big shout out to them. Arun Sawat Sawadee Sabadi Lapa. Oh, this is a beautiful walk this morning. Pretty soon we get up to a nice little vista, where we could look east and west, see the sunrise, and then also see and both mountain ranges that we're in between. And also, of course, the beautiful green rice fields and stuff like that. So that's what I love about living in the tropics too. That's a banana tree with bananas. If you were walking down the street and you're hungry, you could just pick one off, if it was ripe, and eat it. Nobody's saying anything about that. So we are in the rain season. Rain season should be ending in about a month. I love the rain season. I like when it rains part of the day, or even most of the day. I don't know why. I just love it. I guess the only time I don't like it is like when the joints start to ache, something like that. But I haven't had, since I started exercising again and doing the right things in life, eating correctly and stuff like that, I haven't had any joint pain, so there's definitely a correlation there. Oh, we're coming up on that vista. And here it is right here. Hold up a second. Let's turn to the side over here and just check this out. Is this God's creation or is this a man creation? Who created that? Oh my goodness. You see that blue sky up top, then you go further back looking further away, and you see the gray clouds and stuff like that. You know what kind of physics goes into actually creating something like that? The mountains at the base, the clouds at the base of the mountain, with the rice fields up in front and everything like that. There isn't a man on this planet who has enough money, bars of gold, bars of silver, who could pay for this. That's the amazing thing, and never forget that. I remind myself every single day that this is what it's all about, because if somebody handed you all the money in the world and they said they're going to take this away from you, you would die. You wouldn't have oxygen, you wouldn't have sun, you wouldn't have sky, you wouldn't have all these beautiful, wonderful things, and your money would be absolutely worthless. That's just to keep the memory, try to remember what's important and stuff like that. So here's actually like the other view, which allows us to look to the east, right? This is looking west, right? And you can actually see from here a little bit better. I'll zoom in even, like the clouds just over the trees, but those clouds aren't part of the clouds that are on top of the screen. Those are the clouds that are at the base of the mountains. And that's an interesting, beautiful dynamic. So that's west. That is due west. And this right here is a spot. There it is. There's the one and only sun. I don't think there's another one. I think it says the one and only sun. rising up through the clouds to warm up the day, bring the vitamin D to everybody and stuff like that. Over those clouds, peeking through, coming around, and that's it. That's the one and only. There isn't another one on that our planet goes around, and that's how beautiful that is. Don't ever. I mean, you should not forget that. You know. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like don't ever forget, but you should. Probably shouldn't forget. You know, like I don't want to forget. I want to know every single day that I see this and be thankful. Look at that. The great expanse. You know, I wonder how many millions of square miles this video, right? Just like this frame right here. How many millions of square miles that is? It's got to be like some insane amount of space that like we probably can't even comprehend it. You know. Anyway, so that's the two vista points in the walk. Arun Sawat. Those are the two vista points in the walk that I super appreciate, and I hope you do too. And anyway, we'll take a look at one of these flowers. This flower is something that I don't know. I don't know what kind of flower. If you're in the chat and you know what kind of flower this is, let me know. I will take a picture of it and then I'll put it in the Google as an identifier. That's what I do. Sometimes it's like I try to identify plants. If I don't know what they are, I put them in the Google Lens, and then I look it up and try to see what it is. Like for example, I found the other day in our backyard, we have a tree that has these big green ball, like they look like fruit to me, but the tomatillo. You know what tomatillo is? Anyway, some people use, they cook with tomatillo. You know, sounds like a big dog. That's a Rottweiler. You know. Super appreciate the thumbs up, everybody. I mean, it means a lot. It makes me feel good. So I appreciate you. Makes me feel less lonely in the world. Really, seriously. Like, I live in a place where most people, 99% of the people don't speak English. So this little English transaction right here is like having a whole conversation in English, just like I was, in an English-speaking language. I could also speak Spanish and French, and but I can speak Thai. So it's just cool. It's cool. I love it, and it's a gift from God, or a gift from higher power, or the great beyond. So, hey, Run Swat Lung. Sabari ko pa. All right, so we are doing fantastic. So far, we had 42 minutes, or basically 43 minutes of walking, which is fantastic. That means should be about 10 more minutes of walking. But maybe I'll pick up the pace a little bit and make it 8. or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like picking the pace up a little bit, try to burn off some of those calories. I know that, like, well, I don't know shit, but I feel like I'm burning off calories at the pace that I'm going at. Although it does feel a little slower than usually. It might be those two zinger burgers and ice cream I had yesterday, which I really shouldn't have had. Keep passing him every day. One of these days, he's gonna smile. Arun Sawat Kunlung. One of these days, you see a smile as certain people. But you don't know what's going on in people's lives too. Also, you don't know what's going on. It's kepada sabadu pa. You don't know what's going on inside someone's head and stuff like that. And basically, look at the face might let you know maybe it's not a good idea to press on. Anyway, here we go. Getting it done. Absolutely. 100% getting it done.รุ่นสวัสดิ์เอากำลังครับผมเป็นแฟนบีวิจิตาเกาหลีลูกสาวยายพันธุ์รู้จักยายพันธุ์บ้านนู้นครับผมจ้าSo that's always nice to have an interaction with people, That's the amazing thing is, if like you go to a place where people speak a different language, and that could even be inside the United States too. You go to an area, so people just speak a different language, and I don't even mean speak a different like English language. They just speak English differently. You know what I mean? So it's like people really associate, and you're going to get a good vibe, from people, generally speaking, if you can make that, make some sort of a connection, So that's what the Buddha said. One of the things about the Buddha was that, like he got disciples and everything like that, and just in order, and this is really true of like most philosophies and religions and stuff like that, was that Buddha said, people have to explain the idea of philosophy or religion in their own language, You can't go, right? I mean, nobody will understand what you're saying. we are nearly, I mean, just, I don't know if you can see the red roof up ahead, but that's like at the super wind down period, you know, like really close back. And right around that time is when I say goodbye to you guys. But I still say thank you very much for sharing this time, space on this planet and in interstellar space, because that's where the radio waves or satellites are and all that stuff. So thank you for this intergalactic communication. You know, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, I don't think these are sunflowers. They look like sunflowers, but I've never seen sunflower seeds in them. And I've seen them for years. They look exactly like sunflowers though. And I just never seen a sunflower seed in them. Now let's take a closer look. See what that is. Yeah, I don't think that is a sunflower. It might be. Here's one a little more lively. Let me see. I have a little aroma. There's a little bit of aroma there. I think there's something, no, maybe I don't think there's those. But I don't think there's a sunflower. They look like sunflowers, right? Everybody's getting up. So it is 6:42 a.m. in the morning, Saturday, August 17th in the year 2568, or on the Gregorian calendar, August 17th, Saturday morning in the year 2025. And now we see. We started before the sun wasn't up when we started. That's how quick it comes, right? Time just flies by, you know. Don't miss your opportunities. You know. Sun is up. Look at that. Look at that. Holy cow. That's like the power of like 100 million nuclear bombs or something like that. But that's the sun. It's not a nuclear bomb. And it gives life, not death. But I suppose if you want to be like Icarus and fly too close, that might not be a good idea either. So. Anyway. Here's another shot. This is the last shot we're going to have today of rice fields. There it is. Somebody else's rice field. The mountains in the background covered in blankets of clouds and stuff like that. And it's just the sun's gonna keep going, moving across there. Keep going. You know? This is a nice little hangout spot. I know they have gladioli around here, so it's just that I have to remember what gladioli looks like. All right, folks, that's the red house I was talking about. All right, so I would like to close this out by saying thank you so much for being on this walk with me, sharing this time, and God bless you all. And wherever you are, have a good morning, good afternoon, and good night.